Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Nasdaq Entrepreneurial Center's open house. My name is Cami Twiggs Taylor, and I am the director of the Milestone Circles program at the Nasdaq Entrepreneurial Center. For those of you who may not know, the Nasdaq Center is a nonprofit that is building a better path for entrepreneurs worldwide by improving inclusion, access, and knowledge in entrepreneurship. As you will see in the chat in a moment, the Nasdaq Center provides programs, resources, and exceptional mentorship to entrepreneurs across all races, industries, and geographies. Check out those links and resources in the chat. A couple of housekeeping items before we get started. First, let us know where you are dialing in from in the chat. Second, we will open up for our live Q&A at the end of the event. So please submit your questions for us in the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen throughout the presentation. We will try our best to get to them all. None of what we do could be possible at the center without all of the amazing support from our sponsors, including Nasdaq, Lehigh University, Bank of the West, Airbnb, KPMG, Wilson Sonsini, Woodruff Sawyer, Microsoft, Entrepreneurship for Positive Impact, BPM, and HubSpot for Startups. We are humbled by their contributions and hope you are grateful too. Before we get started, I am going to launch a poll to step back and take a temperature gauge on how you are all doing today. We use this information to guide the wellness of programs we provide for our global community of entrepreneurs. So how are you feeling? Are you feeling fearful, anxious, surviving, or optimistic? Yes, optimistic. Look at this. Some of us are feeling anxious and a few of us are surviving. Okay. The next poll. What is keeping you up at night? What is keeping you up at night? Is it finance, sales, marketing, scale, pivot, team, or are you just surviving? What is keeping you up at night? Okay, pretty spread. So finance and then sales, marketing, scale, pivot, and surviving. Thank you all for participating. Without any further delay, please join me in welcoming our special guest, our Executive Director of the Nasdaq Entrepreneurial Center, Nicola Corzine.
Cami, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, for all those resources. Welcome to everyone around the world. My goodness, from Nigeria, Washington, D.C., we've got Texas love dialing in, a lot of California too. We're so glad to have you here today. This is our first open house that I get to participate in, but we really did want to take a moment to first slow down and celebrate you, all of you joining today. In fact, with everything that's going on in this world, you took time out today to come to get to know us. And that's really incredibly inspiring. And we're so blessed and grateful that you did. I'm going to try to use these next few minutes that we have together to try to be helpful and share some of the resources that the center has available for you. And we want to make this engaging as always. Everything that the center has always put forward aims to be as helpful and supportive to our founder community. So first and foremost, if you have any questions that are keeping you up at night that we can help you with today, feel free to use that chat function. Feel free to use that Q&A function, and we will get to just as many as we can. Cami's going to be joining me a little bit later to talk more about that phenomenal program that she runs called Milestone Circles, and we'll talk a little bit more about our immersive programs. But here's what I want to cover today. First, I promise I'm going to take a breath and slow down and tell you a little bit about our origin story. Each of you as founders are so gracious as to share the reason that you're building and why you're building, and we want to do the same for you today. We want to take a moment to take you behind the scenes and tell you why 8 years ago now, more than 8 years ago, I had the incredible honor of joining as the founding CEO and executive director at the Nasdaq Center. and why we came to be, and what these last 8 years have looked like. Oh, what an 8 years. You've all been there. You know what the 8 years have looked like. But we're going to take you a little bit through that history for us. And most importantly, make sure that you understand our purpose in the world. And then hopefully I'm going to talk a little bit about, where we can support you, the who behind the organization, the research that we're conducting day in and day out in support of all your greatness, all your bigness, that powerfulness that I saw come through and how you're feeling. Love that. Love that. Hold on to that power. You deserve every element of it. And then we're going to talk a little bit about our workshops, our classes, our trainings, and our mentorship offerings as well. So it's going to be fun. Welcome to Open House. Let's dig in. So as Kemi said, my name is Nicola Corzine. I'm going to start with my origin story because it's, I think, really important to know why I came here and sort of how that in some ways shaped the incredible talent that I get to learn from with our team day in and day out. So I am the daughter of an entrepreneur myself. I moved when I was a little girl to America from England. My dad had dreams of starting a company, and as much as he loved his home country of England, he knew it really was going to be near impossible for him to achieve that support that he wanted to anywhere than in America at that time. And so he moved us stateside. And I got to tell you, when you're a little girl, and I had one sister who's near and dear to me, and when they tell you you're moving to California, my dreams of coming to California were a little bit more grounded in like, am I going to get to be close to Disneyland, which was the only moment that I had in my mind at that time. Needless to say, as much as I do still love Mickey Mouse and Disneyland stories, that was not where we ended up calling home. My dad literally... 30-second digression, I promise. We literally rented a car out of SFO Airport, stopped for lunch in a Central Valley town for my Sacramento friends in Modesto. They picked up a newspaper, we still had those in the time, read through the housing section, looked at all that the Central Valley had to offer, and they said, this is the American dream that we want to realize for our family and for our kids. And at that time, that meant having a sprawling house, and my dad got to get chickens and become like the gentleman rancher that he'd always dreamed of. And I grew up living and believing that greatness was possible. But the most important moments in that, and the foray into sort of my journey, was along the way, I would have these opportunities to travel with my dad as he was building his business. And we would often stop, and he would look around and he would say, you see this restaurant that we're at, or this community that we're visiting, what do you see that inspires you? And what do you wish you could contribute into it? And those two offerings really stuck with me, so that when I was 16 and I graduated early from high school, I went back to England to get my college degree, and PS to do a little bit of traveling that I'd hoped to around Europe. I needed to get a job to do that traveling, and I couldn't find anything that was a good fit for me, for my skill set at that time. And so my dad rightfully reminded me, well, if you don't see anything that you're excited by, maybe it's an opportunity to lean in and build something that does excite and inspire you. And so at 16, that was my first foray of starting my own company in the UK. It was in digital telecom space. I knew nothing about that space, but I did see a moment where cellular progression had changed opportunities. And I think that's what all of you do, that's inspiring to us each and every day, is you see opportunities that are deserving of being realized for people that you love, people that you respect, people that you're inspired by, beauty, arts, whatever the case may be, services, and you lean in and say, I will do it because I can and because somebody should. And that was where I started my journey. I did 3 startups, one in the UK, 2 in the US. My second one ended up getting acquired by Microsoft. It raised a lot of venture money. And because I thought I knew it all, I was like, I'm going to go do it again. And we'll hold that for a topic for a different day. But needless to say, that one did not quite pan out the way that the second one had. Raised way too much money, and most importantly, forgot to pay attention to that critical customer mindset and what it was that they needed, not what it was that I thought they needed. So that one ended up closing. And in a series of humbleness, I went back to some of the backers that had supported my second company. And I said, what do I do now? Where do I go? This market is different than I thought. And I don't have it all figured out. And I don't know what I should do. And at the time, they'd started a first-time fund in Palo Alto. And they said, well, why don't you come over and help us find great entrepreneurs who deserve resources and support? And I kind of double leaned in and I said, that's a job description. I'm not sure that I ever got told that in school. Sign me up for that. And that started my journey. A year later, I got recruited to co-lead Band of Angels. And for this conversation, the most important elements that came through from that is I was very fortunate to be one of the early advisors to Startup America, which, for those of you who may not know, under the former President Obama initiative, really sought to look at talent networks, both domestically and globally, and say, how do we do a better job of bringing resources to those who are so inspiring, who are bringing vibrancy, heart, opportunity to our communities, and make sure that the resources aren't limited to just a couple of places, right? The coastal effect that we know, unfortunately, Sand Hill Road and the East Coast has historically had a corner of entrepreneurship because of where finances lived, but it doesn't have to be that way. And I love that thematic, and I saw what was changing and coming forward in places like Ohio and Florida, in the Carolinas, in Georgia. And I knew that there was so much more that we could do in support of all those who were doing so much for our nation and for our world. And a few years later, I had a company of mine that ended up getting acquired by Nasdaq. And the founder and I had remained quite good friends. And he called me up one day and he said, "You never are going to believe what Nasdaq Foundation, their philanthropic foundation, wants to build." And I was very curious and leaned in to learn more. And he said, they want to build a nonprofit. They want to support the establishment of a nonprofit, the likes of which has never been before. But because they believe and they know how much entrepreneurship does for our world, and they know more resources and support should be available to all. And that democracy of entrepreneurship and resources just tapped on my heartstring, right? Everything that I've shared with you so far is like, yes. And so I had one phenomenal conversation after another and thought maybe I could support in an advisory capacity. And, you know, I just had the incredible honor of being offered to come and join them as the CEO of this great organization that is. We're an independent 501c3. That's a lot of letters and a lot of numbers. And if you're not on the nonprofit side, basically what that means is we are for public good, because the public good needs our entrepreneurs now more than ever. Several years ago, I'm sure you all heard that in our nation and across the world, unfortunately, entrepreneurship has been in a declining economy. And then COVID, right? And COVID changed the narrative as far as a lot of things, but especially what it looked like to try to be integrated with one's family and with one's community and in support of all those things and do what mattered to you, to prioritize your dreams, your pursuits of what's possible. And I truly believe that entrepreneurship can be the great equalizer. And I'm lucky that's still a luxury statement for many to be able to have. But the center exists, my friends, because we want to make that more of a reality for all of you than ever before. So 8 years ago, that journey started for us, all with this construct that when you look into the secret sauce of what works in Silicon Valley and to a certain degree, the United States, and certainly now more globally, people believe in the importance of the pursuit of entrepreneurship and in supporting those with a dream. And when they do that, that means that they're paying it forward because they know that those entrepreneurs are going to go do great things. So the center is here to help you pay it forward to others. Even though I know it doesn't always feel like it, know that you are an inspiration to so many that see you pursuing that dream, that see what is possible because you believe in achieving something bigger than just yourself, however that bigness is defined. So there's a few core kernels of truth when it comes to what the center stands for. Number one, you've already heard me use things like founders and entrepreneurs. We want that to be as inclusive as a term as possible for everyone. And while we care passionately about all those babies, you know, I get to call that, right? When I was starting my companies, they were my babies. I cared so much about them. Each one was special. Each one was deserving of as much nurture as I possibly could give. But it is you that we are investing in. It is your pursuits. It is your vision of success. It is your dreams. It is your goals. So we're always going to come back to asking how you're doing, first and foremost. Because we believe when you are centered and you know what you need to achieve, great things will unfold, not just in this business, but in all the businesses that are around you. and all the families that see you are doing these great big things. And we hope that you'll continue to pay it forward, share this knowledge, share the insights, share the perspectives with others. That's what really matters and drives this center forward. And this center, right? I should take a moment to describe who is now in this center 8 years later. We started with an entrepreneurial count of none. Well, technically I'll call it one because I'll still say I'm an entrepreneur every day of the week. And now we are so fortunate to have a team that gets to learn and thrive besides a community of over 75,000 entrepreneurs worldwide. And it's really important to know that you're not alone in this journey, because that's the second truth that we always know. Unfortunately, entrepreneurship can be a really lonely and a really hard journey. And so when we ask polls like, how are you doing? It's not just a throwaway. To us, that's really critical. We measure the sentiment of our entrepreneurial health and wellness each and every day in the center. And it helps us unlock and bring forward more resources like coaching and mentorship and capacity building in support of you. Because it is about the sustainability of you. And that would be the third truth that I would lament today or share with you today. You see, the distance of the entrepreneur, as much as it might be glorified or look a little bit like Silicon Valley at times, where it's like up and to the right, and just magically one day I made it. It's actually not that way, right? Unfortunately, it is a marathon and not a sprint. So we need you to be able to go that distance. And we want you to be able to go that distance. So again, when we're asking these polls like, what's keeping you up at night? Know that that information is feeding into the incredible program team at the center, what they can be doing in support of you right now. So I'm going to go back. You'll see me flip back and forth a little bit in the script as far as like where we were 8 years ago. When we started 8 years ago, no entrepreneurs. This community has grown rapidly. We are over 51% women at this stage, 64% who identify as entrepreneurs of color, every industry, every stage, more than 160 countries beside us. And we know that the peer learnings that are unfolding beside you each and every day is immense. And my goodness, these last few years have been that journey and a half, haven't they? This has been a winter for all of you. But you haven't given up, and you've continued to lean in, and you've continued to support one another. And for that, we are deeply, deeply grateful. Now, we, the center, are able to do all of this, if you didn't already know, for free. We don't charge anything. We don't take any equity. All that we ask is that you do pay it forward, that you don't keep that knowledge inside of yourself, because that's what great entrepreneurs do. Even though the capacity to build is truly intense, and on your to-do list of 150 things every day, we know it only gets added to. Very rarely does it get subtracted from. But even within inside of all of that, we know you have capacity to be able to pay it forward and support others in your community and beyond those communities. So we are grateful for fostering that spirit of pay it forward at the center. All of the work that we're able to do pro bono and not charging for anything is gratefully received, because we have foundations like Nasdaq Foundation, our Title Foundation, and other foundations and sponsors that you heard Kemi share, who believe in the importance of entrepreneurship and provide us with the funding needed to be able to offer these to you. So please know that there is no scarcity at the center. The only bigness that we would ask in support of all your bigness is that you continue to share out those resources, sign up for our newsletter, consume what you need when you need it, so that we can help you go that distance, and that we can measure your sustainability and your health and your wellness as an entrepreneur, inspiring others in your community and beyond. Our board and our advisory board, yes, we do have those things at the center, are also here in support of you each and every day. Our team is an amazing team of individuals. We are split into a few core functions. We have an incredible program team here, people like Kemi, people like Michelle, Colin, that I am sure and confident that you've had a chance to meet. And if you haven't, you will get to meet them because they're awesome. We have an amazing digital instruction designer here, Pinar, who gives her heart and her soul into making sure that the workbooks and the toolkits that we put forward for you are meeting your goals and your objectives, and are helping you unlock all of that knowledge that you're seeking for yourself and giving you those maps and those tools to go the distance. We have an incredible production team here. People like the beautiful Anna and Zoe, who give and enjoy every chance they have to connect with you, virtually for the most part, but always with heart and with love. And then we have our amazing head of research and head of strategy here, Selena. And I hope at one stage I have a chance to introduce you all to her, because she is truly a joy and a gift to the center, and her insights and perspectives are for founders first. And that is the truth with every single team member that we have here. They are founder first. They are all about you. Whenever given a chance, we love the opportunity to get to know you, to get to understand what your struggles are, what brings you joy, to celebrate your wins. And of course, in that celebration, that also leads me to our other side of the incredible team here, our marketing team. If you haven't yet followed us on social, this is my plug to please do so, because most of the time, if you're following us on social, we're celebrating and shouting your news, your visibility for all that you're doing for us. We have some great franchises, digital franchises that you might be inspired to read. One of my favorites, if I'm allowed to have favorites, I guess I can, is our Faces of Entrepreneurship series. This is where we get to know what inspired an entrepreneur to go the distance. Why, in spite of all the reasons they should say no, they leaned in and said yes. How they went that distance, the obstacles they've overcome, the insights that they have. Here's one of our big tips in 8 years of learning. Some of the best learnings happen from near peers. And what does a near peer mean? A near peer means that you find somebody who's about 18 months ahead of where you're trying to go. Because in that magic of having that accountability buddy, that person, you'll often find that that individual remembers the details well enough without the paper cut effects, that they're giving you the nuggets that you need to make more informed decisions on your own strategic direction and your next steps. So please make sure you're taking advantage, following our social, signing up for our newsletter. If you haven't already done that, please do that. I assume you have, since you're all here today. But you'll there learn about our newest research. You'll learn about our newest classes. You'll learn about all of our offerings. And you'll also be inspired by others in the community who have a lot to be celebrated for. Each of you do. You know, back to that marathon, the only way we're going to go the marathon is if we celebrate the wins along the way. And we do love celebrating all of your big, powerful wins. Now, how do we design our programs? That's a really good question. Some of you had asked that in the inbound questions. Thanks for taking the time to submit that. And you'll notice PSA announcement here. Every class that we offer, we're always going to give you a chance to drop in questions that you'd love to ask in a class session. And we'll try to get to as many of those as we possibly can, not just from us, but from our incredible roster of talent who love to come in and support all of you. And on that note, we have now over 600 classes that the center has been fortunate to offer in our last 8 years. Many of those you can actually find on our YouTube channel. So if you missed a class, because life happens, especially in entrepreneurship, and we miss you when you're not here with us live, but we fully understand it. We do have available offerings for where you can go to find that. And if you're ever struggling to find a class, drop us a note, hello@thecenter.nasdaq.org, and we will route it to the right person and get you the help that you need, okay? So never be shy. We're here for you, and we need to hear from you in order to support you. But our responsive programs, as I kind of already mentioned a little bit today, are built directly based on your needs. So every month, you can expect somewhere between 8 to 12 what we call responsive programs. Basically, that just means we listened, you told us what your struggles were, we went out, we brought those classes together to bear. And those cycles happen about every 4 to 6 weeks. So in every 4 to 6 weeks, we're using the information that you gave us in surveys and polls, in intake situations, and we're cultivating learning opportunities specifically and intentionally for you based on what you've asked for. And then our program team goes finds the best and the brightest teachers to come forward and give live offerings. And again, if you're not available to watch it live, make sure you sign up for the class, because you're going to get the first release of that program once it's available. And then later on, we'll have it up on our YouTube channels. But those offerings are all in the responsive program lane. And they really have been helpful. You know, a lot of the differences perhaps between us and some of the other amazing accelerators, incubators, programs that you may be more familiar with out there tend to be very staccato in the way that they're released. So, sort of, okay, I'm going to go through one journey. The difference with the center, again, is it's very responsive to our founder community. So as our community continues to evolve, as they face new challenges, new market conditions, new fundraising challenges, new sales needs, new marketing needs, whatever the dynamic is, we're able to make sure we're responding to you in this almost real-time fashion to get you the help that you need, so that you can go back to building the companies that we need you to be building, so that you can inspire others, and so that our entrepreneurial cycle of opportunity continues in a positive progression here. So with that, I am going to now get ready to invite Cami to come back and join me, because as I mentioned earlier, in addition to the responsive programs, we also have immersive programs, a nice big word that Cami's going to talk a little bit more about it. But for those of you that are interested in going a little bit deeper with the center in a differentiated way, immersive programs can be that opportunity. So Cami, maybe I'll turn it over to you and invite you to share more about what that looks like and why we have them.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nicola. Well, entrepreneurs often share the critical need for time, resources, and support. Time to work on their business rather than in their business, resources to move their business forward to their next goal and ultimate vision, and support. And as many of you all know all too well, entrepreneurship can be a lonely road. But here at the center, we do have 2 hands-on immersive program experiences to support you in those 3 critical need areas. They are the Milestone Makers program and the Milestone Circles program, and we'll put the links in the chat. Milestone Makers and Milestone Circles are the center's highest touch accelerators provided to our community of entrepreneurs. These programs are 3-month experiences to help founders set and achieve critical business milestones through mentorship, coaching, and peer support. There are a few differences between these 2 programs, which I will outline now. Milestone Makers supports early to mid-stage founders globally, working on select UN's 17 Sustainable Developmental Goals. Participants are matched with coaches and mentors who are leaders in the industry and giving access to customized resources that meet each founder's needs. New cohorts are onboarded 4 times a year. And this program offers a 3-day onboarding experience with milestone setting strategy for current and future quarters. It also offers one-to-one professional coaching, specifically matched for you. The program also offers business mentors and peer support curated to your needs, aspirations, and definition of success. Next, we have the Milestone Circles program. Milestone Circles supports women identifying founders who are US-based and in Latin America and the Caribbean. This program provides a curated experience to help women founders gain focus and clarity and greater confidence in their vision. We also help address the unique needs of our women entrepreneurs through resources, mentorship, and peer-led support. Cohorts are matched with women founders who complement each other's drive, challenge, and business stage. And new cohorts begin throughout the year as space is available. The Milestone Circles program offers a 2-day onboarding experience supporting values and vision with milestone setting strategy, and inclusive of circle mentorship support from women who have graduated from the Milestone Circles program. The program also offers a community of women founders in the Mighty Networks platform, providing a network of support to its program participants. And right now, this community stands well over 1,000 women founders and counting. Milestone Circles also offers bi-weekly peer support groups with access to topic experts and specialized workshops. As Nicola mentioned, both programs are absolutely free, as everything is at the center, free to entrepreneurs who participate. And at the center, we operate on that paid forward model. So our graduates of these programs often return to the center to mentor, teach classes, or share resources and opportunities in support of other business owners. And finally, upon graduating from both programs, you will have the opportunity to be featured in media moments across center community, our center community, and beyond. So I see some questions are coming through the chat. So at this time, we will transition to our live Q&A. So please go ahead and drop any questions you have in that Q&A box at the bottom of your Zoom screen. And Nicola as well is back here to help.
Hi, that's so good. I mean, our immersive programs, these founders that you are getting to know, that Colin's getting to know, that all of our team are getting to know, they're just such an inspiration. I saw a question come in earlier, so I want to make sure I address it. As far as like, how do we get the intel on how to build the responsive programs? Such a good question. Again, to the extent that you're able to join us live, you'll see that we like to pepper in questions through polling scenarios. Once you've been to a class, we're also going to follow up with surveys. That survey, again, is not just a survey for survey's sake. I know adding one more thing to the to-do list is like, really, Nicola, thank you. But please just know that information helps us get smarter. And at the end of the day, you help us get smarter. We're helping you address the issues and the needs that you have. So those are the ways that our community that is not in the immersive programs can help us. And then Cami, I know you and Colin and Michelle and Anna and Zoe and Lauren and everyone on the broader teams are always listening and learning in the immersive experiences, right? You'll do surveys there that will guide and inform.
Yes, we do surveys, we hear from our community, and that definitely informs our programming and experience for all of our entrepreneurs.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll stay on that just for a second, because I also want you to know that intel doesn't only help us get smarter, it also helps us know what additional resources we can put forward. I'm gonna give Cami and the team a moment of recognized thanks from the broader community. A couple of years ago, we undertook a deep study on, unfortunately, the wealth gap issues that continue to plague and affect our women entrepreneurs. And not to make this a sad moment, because by no means do I want anyone to walk away with disheartening news. But if you don't already know, our women entrepreneurs are paying themselves substantially less than our male entrepreneurs are. And they're equally not receiving the same amount of valuation or opportunities. And why that matters is obviously in so many different ways, but most importantly, for our founders that are building for generational wealth transfer, for the opportunity to see a payback loop go into the communities, to be able to realize their full vision and dreams. We want you to realize your bigness. We want you to get paid for it. We want you to walk away with wealth that is transferable and shareable and inspiring. So to do that, and from listening to all of our amazing women entrepreneurs as they were struggling with this issue, it then allowed us to not only study for study's sake, but actually put forward, back to Pinar, who I mentioned earlier on our digital workbook team, thanks to those research and thanks to that insights and thanks to some great collaboration and partnerships with many other nonprofits and academic institutions that we worked with, a legacy for you. It's your pay yourself plan. Yeah, we actually have this so that you can workshop it through and figure out, am I fairly paying myself? How do I not leave value on the table? This is something you can do async, or you can do it in session with us. We'll offer these types of classes and programs periodically. But it's an example where, again, we're not just using your information for our own good. We too are really trying to make sure that that intelligence is being fed into the resources that you need in support of who you are and what you're doing for us. So again, if you haven't seen our workbooks, please dig into them. They're for you. They're by you in many ways. They're nurtured and supported with your information. So we'd love to see you do that. We've also got an exciting one coming up called the Capital Pathways Toolkit. Version 1 is already out there. We actually had the great honor of releasing it in Washington, D.C. at the SBA Women's Summit at the White House this year. It was really amazing. And that is a pathway where you can go through and think of 120 different options out there. It's like walking into a Baskin Robbins. Apparently, I crave ice cream today, but it's like walking into a Baskin Robbins, right? When you're thinking about how do I fund my company? Tammy, I know you hear this all the time from your women who are looking to raise capital. Where do I start? What do I think about? Like, it's so hard. This is a tool built for you, by you, to help you go through that. What do I actually care about, and why am I building in the first place? And then that gets you down to a finite number of pathways that you might want to explore with. We know time is your most precious commodity. We know the one equation we're never changing, how many hours there are in a day. So we really do aim to be efficient and effective with some of these tools. And that's another great workbook that I'll just throw out there. It might be helpful. If you haven't seen it, please do. And then stay tuned, because in July, Cami is going to be doing a big release of the Full Capital Pathways Toolkit, not to be missed, hopefully with some of our amazing Circle sisters in attendance too, in New York. And that's going to be aligned to your company as well. So we're taking the founder journey, we're mapping it to the company journey, and we're hopefully giving you a way forward, despite all the challenges around capital raising, to find the right one that best fits your goals and your needs. All right, I'll get off the soapbox, Cami. Sorry, back to questions.
No, this is all good stuff. So we have another question in the chat. What is the eligibility for joining these programs? So I'll share about the Milestone Circles program. And if Nicola, if you don't mind, just talk a little bit about the Milestone Makers program. So for Milestone Circles, you just need to be a woman identifying business, US based, or in Latin America and the Caribbean. And so you complete your application, and as spaces that are available, we match you with cohorts depending on your drive, challenge, and business stage, a cohort that complements you and your specific needs.
Love that. And remind me again, Cami, how many do we have in the alum situation so far?
Oh my goodness, yes, we are 1,700 plus community.
1,500 women, awesome women business owners in this country, and a wait list. We're not going to fib. We do have a bit of a wait list, but we're going to try to get through just as many as we possibly can. So thank you. Please make sure you sign up to stay informed of when the next cohorts releases. You hear they can actually fill out the application now. Is that right, Cami?
They can. So if you go to our website at thecenter.nasdaq.org and then over to Milestone Circles, at the middle of the page, you can fill out the link so that you'll be informed when new cohorts open this summer.
Amazing. And there are some resources that they get to take advantage of right away, correct?
Absolutely. In the meantime, we do have resources available to you. We have a couple, if you want to dig a little bit deeper into the Milestone Circles program, we have an open house coming up in June. So we encourage you to go to our upcoming classes page and register for that class. But then also all of the amazing resources at the center that Nicholas talked about, our ongoing classes, our upcoming classes, and then our YouTube channel. I think someone asked about our YouTube channel. That is a great place to pull down on a library of resources. We have over 280 classes on our YouTube channel. So create a playlist for yourself, create a plan. I always say to our Milestone Circles sisters is what they call themselves, to create a plan for yourself to go after that next milestone.
I love that. I love that. It's such a good community. It's so awesome to see how you and the team have just built that, and most importantly, how our Circle sisters have built it, right? Because it's being always reimagined and informed by their needs and their goals, especially. Okay, so Milestone Makers, and maybe I'll take a moment to just slow down, and if any of you are like, what's up with your love of milestone? Like, why is it in everything? I'll take a moment to talk about what a milestone is, because it really matters to the center, and I know it matters to you, and it's not like you don't know what that word means. But for us, the reason that we orient a lot towards milestones is twofold. First and foremost, as you already heard me use the 150 things on the to-do list, it's so easy to get lost in the volume of things that got to get done as an entrepreneur, that sometimes the hardest thing that we struggle with is the ability to navigate and set a meaningful goal, a meaningful milestone that can drive our options as a founder forward. And if you think of it this way, in founder phenomena, the two things that really matter to you, speed, your ability to achieve velocity in the way that you want to build your business efficiently as possible. And the second thing is really, how do I get to the end vision of where I'm trying to build my business for and whom I'm building it for? And those tensions never change, meaning that every day you wake up and that to-do list just feels like it's slogging through mud, right? So milestones is a framework to kind of clear the clutter. It's a way for you to take lockstep and say, with all those things that I need to get done, and I do still need to get them done, P.S. We're not taking away that list. I wish we could, but we can't do that. In addition to that, the thing that I need to focus on my learning goal, my objective, the thing that drives me closer to being able to do this. Despite all the reasons and all the people that may be saying, I don't know why, or I don't know how, is because I see this moment in time ahead of me and I know I can set my sights on getting to that distance. So these learning goals, these milestones give you the credibility that you deserve for yourself and for others. These milestones set you up in success to share with your team, to share with prospective funders, to share with, most importantly, your customers, right? Back to that, oops, I forgot to pay attention to them way back when. All of these things matter when we orient ourselves towards a milestone. So milestones count in really big and bold ways, but they're the one framework that's often forgotten about and not supported at a technical assistance layer. So the center orients itself in our immersive programs towards helping you stay that course, to helping you prioritize and remind yourself of the vision of why you're building and who you're building it for. And through all that clutter that you still have to do, what the next quarter needs to look like. Not because it's going to be the magic moment that wins all, but because if you get there, then that fork in the road as to where you go next is clearer to see. So you'll see us ask a lot of questions in these applications around milestones. Here's my second PSA for the day. They're not written in stone at that stage. You can absolutely fundamentally 100% change them a lot. We're going to workshop with you, but we just want to take a pulse check as to get to know you, what's driving you, who you are. And I guess on those notes, I'd go back to saying that for us, obviously with Milestone Makers, UN SDG goals, alignment is critical. And we have a panel of domain experts that will actually help us review and look through these amazing applications that we get. And we are so fortunate to have, usually 100 or more, and we can only work with a dozen in that program. I so wish we could work with more. Please know that if you don't get through, it's not because we didn't love you, we didn't love your story, we didn't love what you were building, but the cohort comes together in aggregation. And what I mean by that is, as we get clearer on a founder that we want to work with, we aim to build a cohort around those founders that become clearer to us. So part of it is just getting to know the founders. And that way, if I was going to give you any ask of advice in your application, be honest, share your story. It's so easy to go to feature creep. For those of you that are kind of come from a bit of a tech-enabled background, you know what I mean by that. But even for my service provider friends, you probably get a pretty good sense as to what I mean by that. We are going to love your baby. We are going to love your product. But for now, we need to stay with who you are, what drives you, what inspires you, what challenges you have. Also, that we can look in our network and say, can we help you? If you give us these hours, these precious hours, can we be beside you and do good by you? And often the answers as to why we don't get to work with everyone that we'd love to is we may not be best suited to be able to help you in Milestone Makers. So please know, I know often it's like, oh, sure, it's not you, it's me kind of a moment. Yeah, I get what you're saying, but it really, truly is. And also know that just because we say no one time doesn't mean we're not going to say yes in a few times for it. We've had many inside of the Milestone Makers that we've been amazed and inspired to get to know over a year. And then the moment is right. Then the milestone is right. Then the network asks and offers of what we can bring are right. So don't give up. Not that we know that you're going to, but stay with us, and thank you. Thank you for your grace and patience as we go through these application processes. Again, these questions are aimed to help us to get to know you and what you need better, and help us deliver the most immersive experience we possibly can that gives you the greatest outcomes that you're striving for.
Yes. Awesome. We have another question, and I think it's a great segue into another resource available at the center. So this question is, are there opportunities for one-to-one specific resource support, as most resources are for the general masses? So I'm assuming you're thinking like our upcoming classes. And I say, yes, absolutely. And that's Mentor Makers, our mentor platform, where you can access mentors from all across the globe to help you and support you in those critical business needs. Nicola, do you want to talk about Mentor Makers?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So in the wake of COVID, the origin story to Mentor Makers was We saw who was being left behind, pretty much all of our founders being left behind in those moments where accidental networking was no longer the way, right? We didn't have the opportunity to just go meet the people that could help us build the companies that we were aspiring to. We literally were all in lockdown together. And in that moment, we said, what might it look like if it didn't have to be that way? If you could actually get in touch with real-time responsive support systems to answer the questions that you needed answered to keep going in this journey that you're on. Enter Mentor Makers. We are very fortunate to have an incredible technology partner, Mentor Cloud, behind this. Mentor Cloud has been the great delivery platform for so many of the leading mentorship campaigns out there, both in professional companies, professional development, all the way through to some of the leading nonprofits out there. And they've partnered with us to be able to help you access on-demand, real-time experts for one-on-one or a small group, depending on what your preferences are, sessions. Now, you can get into Mentor Makers. We're dropping the link in there. You'll see it in a moment. And please use it to your advantage. So if you are looking for help in marketing, sales, finance, revenue, whatever the case may be, there are experts. There are currently, I believe, over 1,000 experts on the platform who have opened up their time. You can literally book directly with them. So it's a great resource for all, and it's worldwide. So again, I think it's important to know that the center really does aim to make sure that we are providing support for wherever you may be based and whatever times you need it. If you get stuck on how to find a good expert there, please again ping us. And we also do have some upcoming classes and open houses specifically for our mentorship platform. So stay tuned for that. Again, make sure you sign up for that newsletter. That's where you're going to see and hear about it first. But obviously, in the meantime, reach out if you hit any challenges or problems.
Awesome. Any other questions for us? We have a couple more minutes before we wrap up, but you can drop your questions in the chat. I see a couple of graduate. Is this a graduate of the program, the Milestone Circles program? Oh, how
there was a question, Cami, on how to stay engaged and reconnect with the cohort. Do you want to talk a little bit about the alum offerings of Milestone Circles?
Yes, absolutely. So the Milestone Circles program, it does not end at week 12. I always call it, we do have week 13 and beyond. And so when you graduate from the Milestone Circles program, you are invited to join the alumni experience. And on the alumni experience, you can connect with all of the women who have graduated from the program. But let me take a step back and talk a little bit about the support that occurs with the Milestone Circles program. When you come into a circle, I always say that you move around circles inside of the Milestone Circles program. And so when you come into the program, you have your cohorts that you come into that you're assigned to. But then through onboarding, you move into smaller circles. You are inside of our greater network of women who are also in other circles and working on milestones that you're able to connect with. And that takes you from there, you'll have the women who have graduated. And in Mighty Networks, we have a whole space there just for alum, where women continue to share resources and support. We have a brand new toolkit just for alum to help you in your next milestone, so you can continue working milestone to milestone and milestone with the community of support. We also have a alum group who works together to, someone asked earlier about any type of surveys or any data that we collect. Well, this group continues to understand the unique needs of the population of women who have graduated from the program have accomplished their milestone, but what's next for them and what they're working on now. And so they work together on projects. They work together based on industry and a variety of different types of affinity groups to provide that ongoing support even post the Milestone Circles program. And they also open up and many women have formed partnerships and relationships and opened new businesses together. We just had a duo who they met through the alumni side and they opened a brand new business together. And again, continue that ongoing spirit of the Milestone Circles program of support.
I see a couple of questions. I did type live, but I just want to make sure I don't leave anyone behind in recognizing and addressing the question of, are we virtual first? You know, once upon a time, I still have, I can't see, I'm actually in an office today, guys. We do actually have a physical space in San Francisco. I missed telling you that part of the story. My first day here, I wore a hard hat and I walked through a giant space and I got to learn all about HVAC systems in ways that I never thought I was going to. And it was a wonderful moment, a wonderful journey. But my friends, as COVID unfolded, and obviously as the world has changed very much who and where we need to be in support of our founders. These days, everything the center does is virtual first. That doesn't mean that periodically you won't see us wanting to be live in person with you in places, but we will never leave anyone behind in those moments. So you will always see a commitment from the center to making sure that wherever and however you need us, we will be there. And, you know, hopefully in time, there'll be a few more live and in-person experiences that will be coming across the United States, maybe even across the world one day. But right now, again, everything that the center does is always going to have that virtual intentionality to it. Honestly, even my team these days, as much as I miss being able to hug them all, we usually will get together once a year. For the most part, everyone is spread across the US as well. And it's awesome because our talent networks have grown. Who we get to understand the communities in which our team is have just benefited the center exponentially. So yeah, we're virtual first, for sure, for sure.
Awesome, awesome. Getting through these questions. Thank you, thank you, thank you. A lot of questions about when does the program start? So Milestone Circles this summer, because keep an eye out this summer, complete the wait list form that's on our website and you'll receive more information there.
And likewise, my friends, on Milestone Makers, you can actually go see when the next upcoming cohorts are for the rest of the year. You'll see mapped out the UN SDG goal focuses for the remaining cohorts. So if you want to better understand the program dates, those are all available. And also, I think some of the managing expectations on the time commitments, right, Cami? Both of the web pages that we've shared have got those details. Again, we try to drive efficiency first always, but with the immersive experiences, there is a little bit more time intensity in the onboarding experience. And then every other week, we're going to get our smaller cohorts together, and we're going to have an hour that we spend really workshopping through barriers, challenges, opportunities, definitely celebrating some wins along the way. And then, of course, there's that graduation moment. So if you want to get to know a little bit more about the ingredients that go into it, the time expectations, even time planning, when are the next cohorts coming up on Milestone Makers, you can find all that information on the page, which Anna has kindly been putting in. Thank you so much, Anna, for that. And then equally, if you have a question or you just haven't been able to figure something out as you're in the process of this or trying to scour for the intel after today, we're not far away. Send us that email, right? So when in doubt, ping us up on that email and we'll make sure it gets to the right team member. I promise, I promise, I promise. It doesn't go into the ether. We don't forget about you. We will get back to you. We will give you the information and the intel that you need, okay?
Right. And remember, as you're waiting to start a Milestone Circles program or you've applied to Milestone Makers, you can always pull down on all of our many free resources at the center. So our upcoming classes, the Mentor Makers program, where you can identify and find and schedule with mentors or fireside chats if you'd like, as well as our YouTube channel where you can watch classes, past classes at the center.
And don't forget about those workbooks and those classes and those async opportunities. We've got everything from negotiations and pitches and capital pathways, right? And of course, equally the critical pay ownership valuation for our women entrepreneurs. So you can find those on the resources site, and we're always happy to share those links out if you miss them too. Awesome.
Well, it has been wonderful being with you all today. Thank you for joining us.
This has been so much fun, Cami. Thank you for sharing this. Thank you, all of you, for joining us. Cami beautifully articulated. We are here for you, with you, by you. It is such an honor each and every day to do that. And I know I speak for our entire team with the love and the thanks that they have for all you're doing out there in the world. It is not an easy job. And yet, despite that, you are our greatest inspiration. And we are so thankful that you're doing it. So stay the course. We're here for you. Whatever you need, please drop us a note and let us know.
Thank you, Nicola. We would love for you to join us for our upcoming webinars. You can view the upcoming events by using the link in the chat. Thank you all so much for joining us today. We look forward to welcoming you back online with us soon.